Well, look what we have here. Hey guys, what's up? It's Imurgency and welcome back to my channel. Have you ever wondered what Avengers would be like if the Avengers actually had to deal with the consequences of their actions and the impact that the Avengers had on society was actually seen? Well, that's The Boys. And no, not those boys. The Boys. If you're unfamiliar with The Boys, it is a show on Amazon Video, and it really just is a show like no other. The best way I can describe it is like if the Avengers met Deadpool met Happy Tree Friends. Yeah, honestly, with all of the antics and violence and things in this show, I'm really surprised that they allowed this to air on television, or more so streaming services, because it's a lot. And we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna break it down all here right now, as well as getting into the latest season, season 3, and giving some predictions on how I think the rest of the season is going to go. There's a lot to get into here, so sit back, grab a snack, and let's get into it. Really quick though, if you are new to the channel and like show reviews, pop culture commentary, fashion reviews, or really anything in the TV or pop culture space, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and to turn on my post notifications so that you never miss when I post. Also, it would be a huge help if you left a like on this video because it helps on the algorithm a whole bunch, and I will give you some time to do that right now while I menacingly look at you with these glasses. Yeah. You left a like? Alright, cool. Let's get into it. Oh yeah, also a quick plug. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Imurgency here. Because I'm trying to build the following there. Yeah, just follow me on Instagram and TikTok while you're at it. But let's get into The Boys. So based on the poll in my community tab section, it's safe to say that a lot of people don't necessarily know what The Boys is or have really watched the show. So I will do y'all a favor and break this video up into 2 parts. This first part is going to be the spoiler-free sort of TLDR about the show. And then the second half is going to be really talking about season 3 and giving predictions for the rest of the season. So for those of you that have seen The Boys and really want to get right into season 3 commentary, you can skip to the timestamp right here where we talk about that. But for everyone else that wants to stick around and get a little refresher, let's get into it. So The Boys mainly takes place in New York City, and it is a show that takes place in the world where there are superheroes, and it's really not like how we normally see superheroes depicted in shows. This is more akin to how we see things through like the lens of like a movie like Deadpool, where it's like really crude, very mature, kind of gory and violent at times, well, a lot of times, but it's also cut up into like the 21st century. So superheroes in this universe are essentially celebrities, like your typical influencer, like celeb. They have to worry a lot about engagement and like numbers in terms of like how well they're performing as like a superhero and a public figure, and a lot of their treatment and the perks that they get are dependent on those numbers. So we see the 7 most popular superheroes being called the 7. They consist of some very questionable, antagonistic, not so great people. And that's the beauty of the show. It does not sugarcoat superheroes whatsoever. In fact, it paints them as very terrible, very awful people, in the sense that most of them are very corrupt and very drunk on their power, think that they're untouchable, and treat people accordingly. And by treat people accordingly, I mean like senselessly take them out whenever they see fit or whenever they like misuse their powers. So one scene that comes to mind was with this one superhero, or how they call them, soups. Wait! That makes so much sense. Sorry, I just had a revelation. They call superheroes soups because they're super but not heroes. Like, whoa. I'm not sure if that was intentional or if that was like supposed to be like a hidden meaning, but like that makes sense because none of these people are heroes. But this one soup, A-Train, in either season 1 or season 2, his power is that he's super fast. And we see the downside to this power because he's running to like catch something or someone, and he ends up running through someone. And one thing about the show is that they do not sugarcoat, they do not censor anything. So people just be exploding. Is that okay to say on here? People will be going kablooey on this show. And they showed what would happen if someone who's running like a couple 100 miles per hour were to run through someone and this person goes kablooey. And that didn't look good for A-Train. It didn't look good for A-Train, but he covered it up. That's the thing. They usually cover up the faux pas, if you will, of these superheroes pretty well to keep their numbers from tanking too much. But it's just like that sort of vibe where you get to see like the drawbacks of having powers and the real life day-to-day interactions of like someone who has super speed, super strength, can fly really fast, can shrink down really small and grow really large. There's just so many layers of upness in this show. And I really love it because of that, because I don't think I've seen anything really like this since Deadpool. And even Deadpool kind of doesn't have anything on this, because like, wow, imagine if all the characters were Deadpool. I know what you may be asking, Rumi, where do the boys fit into this? Well, the boys are regular civilians that all have their own personal vendetta against these soups and actively work to take down these soups whenever they can, and to take down Vought, which is basically the superhero organization agency that sort of controls everything to do with superheroes and media. Like, think like the evil corporation that keeps things together type beat. Ironically, think like Amazon level of like corporation, like really global powerhouse. In The Boys consists of these 4 characters. Butcher, who is this British lad who is really messed up on many different ways. Frenchie, who as the name entails is like this French criminal who's like actually really super smart but is also kind of unhinged. And MM, who's like your typical like bra and muscle of the group. He also happens to be the one black one of the group. It's giving very much typical ragtag team action movie type beat. And then finally, one of the newest members of The Boys and one of the main characters of this show, Huey, who's like your typical average run-of-the-mill white guy who ends up getting wrapped up into this whole organization to take down the soups. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, Huey's a great character, but he just gives me the ick. I don't know how to describe it, but just like, he gives me an ick. It might be the way that he approaches situations, but you know, overall, just ugh. But like I said, they're actually fighting against Vought and the Seven, and the leader of the Seven, who is an entire different beast in and of himself. And this beast is Homelander. Homelander is basically Superman if Superman was super narcissistic, evil, sadistic, and grown out of a test tube. I'm not kidding about the test tube part. He was actually grown out of a test tube. And Homelander is basically invincible. Like, nothing can really stop him. He's like the most well-rounded superhero. Like, he can fly, he has super strength, he has like laser vision. Like, he's really just Superman. And he really just tries to uphold Vought being like the leader and just being this really intimidating, scary force who often like gets drunk on his own power and ends up using them and abusing people. It's very sad, actually. But the show is really interesting because even though you have like basically invincible, very scary characters like Homelander, in comparison to the regular no powers, The Boys, it still creates an interesting dynamic where it doesn't feel like the soups are overpowered in the sense where it seems like there's no real purpose for there to be a conflict. Like, there's still some give and take and some blows that could be dealt on either side just because of different leverage. It's just like a really good show. I do strongly recommend you watch it if you haven't already. And if you don't want to watch it for the plot, watch it for all the shock value because it's a very shocking show. Like, the first half an hour of season 3, shocking isn't even the word. But that transitions us quite nicely into the spoiler part of this video, where we're going to talk about season 3, break it down how we normally do, and give some predictions for how we think the season is going. So season 3 looks like it's going to be very interesting. So far, as of recording this, all we have are the first 3 episodes that came out all at once this past Friday. And then we're going to be having weekly episodes going up to, I believe, July 8th. And I don't even want to try and do the mental math, but I think that's like 5 or 6 more episodes. And kind of going along with that, would y'all want me to make weekly videos doing like summary breakdowns? Like, if y'all are here for Euphoria and how I did like weekly videos of that, would y'all be interested in me doing that for The Boys? Or should I just leave it to like a weekly like pre-show live stream, or just wait till the end to do like a giant season wrap up? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. But these first 3 episodes, I feel like were basically to mend all of the faults, or at least the preliminary faults and fallout from season 2, with The Boys sort of disbanding in a sense. Because by the end of episode 3 in this season, the boys are basically back together and doing their thing, which is nice because I would be annoyed if they spent the whole season trying to rekindle their group together, because I'm like, there's no real need for that. But we also get some very shocking news. For one, the group gets confirmation that Victoria Newman, aka Nadia, is actually a soup and is the head popper from season 2, and also is working with Vought, was like raised by Stan, which is super just convenient for so many reasons. And honestly, I feel like this is going to be interesting because I feel like Victoria / Nadia, I think I'm going to call her Nadia because I like the name Nadia better. I think this is interesting because I feel like Nadia has the makings to be a really great villain, and I wonder how her power would match up against Homelander if they actually needed to go against each other, because would Homelander be able to defend his head from being popped? I don't know. I really don't know, and I kind of hope we see that this season. I know that Nadia probably isn't going to go to the side of the boys, but like, if Homelander just goes AWOL and Stan 6 Nadia against Homelander, like, I kind of want to see what that would look like. But speaking of Homelander, child, This man is crazy. Somebody come get their white man. Cause he just gets more and more unhinged by the second. Like after he officially loses Stormfront and she actually takes herself out because she can't even handle being around him anymore, he like completely loses it. I feel like Homelander kind of represents the worst case scenario that we see with like American men. If you hype them up a little bit too much and kind of play into the whole rage factor of it all, because he actually lashes out and then gets praised for it by fellow unhinged men, because he just gets worse and worse and worse. Like that scene with the girl on the roof. I have no words. I have no words. Again, how is this show allowed to be on streaming services? I'm not asking for it to be canceled at all. It's really good. But how is this allowed? It's just the way that he does the most heinous things with a blank stare and a smile on his face. Like, it's terrifying. Like, the casting for Homelander, whoever the actor is, perfect for this role, because he just has that look where he could kind of be a little off. It's the blank stare and smile combo for me. And we see in episode 3 that Homelander has this realization where he's like fighting with Starlight, and Starlight's like trying to use leverage of that one video where Homelander basically allows this whole plane full of people to crash as leverage. He actually finally acknowledges that like he doesn't care anymore, because if he wanted to, he could literally take over the entire world. And this was something I was thinking about before, like why did it take until this point for him to just like not care? Like worst case scenario, he gets kicked out of Vought in the 7 and then he could just take over the world. Like there's nothing that the world can really do to stop Homelander, if you think about it. At least that I'm remembering. Like if I'm forgetting like something that Stan has up his sleeve that can take down Homelander, let me know. But he detailed very clearly and quickly how he could really just take over the world, and I'm like, he could have done that at any point. Any point. Like if he really wanted to find his son that badly, he could just use the world as leverage to find him, you know? And I really think that because of this, we're going to see some new historic lows for Homelander. Like we thought we saw him do some up before. I feel like this season we're getting even lower. Like the bar is already in hell, but I think it's going deeper. And honestly, this is scary because of the developments that happen at the end of episode 3, where he's basically keeping Starlight hostage in the frame of this fake PR relationship, because Starlight can't really do anything about that, because she's supposed to hold up this front while the boys investigate how they can actually take down Homelander. And 2, realistically, there's nothing that she could do because Homelander could easily like overpower her. So I'm really concerned for Starlight's character here. Although I will say episode 3 did some amazing storytelling, like developing Starlight in the beginning of that episode, showing how like she really hated doing things for other people with like the pageant, and then ending it now with her being an adult, having the same like reaction of her like clenching that fist when she's having to put on a show with Homelander. Just amazing storytelling. Another thing that happened in these first couple episodes that I'm kind of interested in is Butcher's just whole development in these past 3 episodes. Like he's been going through a lot. Like for one, he's trying to be a father, or at least a father figure, which is nice to see him change that way. But then we also see him like do a complete 180 when times get tough, and him essentially like cursing out and disowning his own stepson, which I mean, I guess I get why you do that, to sort of distance yourself so he doesn't have to be involved, but why do it like that, you know? Like if anything, that kid is the one thing that could reliably stand up to Homelander if done right. But now you just kind of made a villain out of him, where he kind of just like does not like you and does not respect you at all. In fact, I think to quote him, he said that he hates you. So not the smartest move on his part. But then also, what's going on with him and his powers? Because he took that compound V and got superpowers for 24 hours, which was cool to see. Like that scene where he was fighting that superhero, amazing. But also, I feel like it's been longer than 24 hours and he still has those powers going on. So like, what really is happening, you know? Like, what's going on here? Like, if I were to make a prediction for the rest of the season, I kind of guess that either he becomes really reliant on these powers, or he unintentionally gives himself like some form of like hybrid version of these powers, where like the compound V gives him like permanent powers. But like those kind of permanent powers only come out when like he's really in distress type beat. Because I feel like that would be really interesting for his character, having that inner turmoil of like becoming a soup himself, or more so becoming the thing that he hates the most, that being soups. So I kind of hope that that happens. Also, I just really want to see one of them become soups, because them being civilians and having to rely on Starlight is only interesting for so long, you know? But yeah, and also it seems like they're about to go to Russia, which is interesting, to find the weapon that could take down Homelander. And I'm seeing this theme, I'm really seeing this theme recently in a lot of these shows. I'm not sure if it's intentional or if it's just coincidental, but it seems like a lot of shows now are going to Russia. And given what's going on with the world, I just think it's very interesting that a lot of shows are going down this route because Stranger Things literally just did it. The Boys are now doing it. And I don't know, I just think that's interesting. And I want to get into some more quick predictions. For one, I feel like, I forget his name, but the one Backstreet Boy superhero, I feel like he's going to be the one saving grace for Starlight because now that he's in the 7, he's really the only person that really cares about Starlight's well-being enough to actually like help her out this situation or at least help communication between the boys and Starlight. So I'm predicting that he's going to end up being that role as like the communicator between the two. But I do also think that Homelander's going to take him out this season. He just seems like a one and done kind of character, if I'm being honest. Like I don't see him lasting for longer than a single season, which is really sad. I also predict, actually, I don't know if this is more of a hope or a prediction, but I hope we see more of Homelander's kid. Like I hope we get to see more of his powers because I think he's just being kept on the back burner right now because they are either building up to something with him or don't really know what to do with him yet. I want to see more of that kid because I want to see how many of his powers he actually does keep from his dad and how they stack up against Homelander himself. I just want to see this fight. I want to see this fight. I'll say it. I want it to give Invincible. I really want it to give Invincible the show. And my final prediction thus far is I feel like Nadia is going to end up playing more of like a third party role. Like I really think that she's not going to either take the side of the boys or Vought. I think she's going to have some kind of role that sort of keeps both of them in check and she's going to end up doing something that benefits herself. Because I know she's loyal to Stan right now, but knowing Stan, he's probably going to do something to f her over. And that's just going to cause her to like do her own thing. Hopefully she takes out Stan because I'm really tired of him. Like he's such a good villain, like a good like evil boss man, but I want him gone. I'm sorry. But yeah, this season is bound to be very problematic because this show is just so problematic in all of the best ways, if that makes sense. Like it seems like the show isn't problematic for no reason. It seems like it's purposefully problematic to show how terrible all of these people are. Like still sometimes it goes a little too far. Like that scene with the Ant-Man equivalent, you know what I'm talking about, where he hops into the and then like during Pride Month, really? During Pride, you're gonna be hopping in someone's and going like, come on now. Come on. But yeah, those are all my thoughts for right now on The Boys. I'm super excited for the rest of the season, and we'll definitely be giving out updates throughout this season, whether that be here on YouTube or over on TikTok, where I do more show reaction type beats. But yeah, now I want to hear from you. What do you think about The Boys? Are you excited for this season? If you haven't seen it before, are you planning on watching it now? Let me know down in the comments below. But other than that, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, follow me on Instagram, all that. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next video. Peace.